Welcome back to Breakdown JJ, November 12th, 2024. We're going to talk SEC, Big Ten football, and JJ, it's getting down close to the nitty gritty.
Yeah, week 11 is in the rear view. Week 12 is coming up.
2 games left for most teams, a few teams have 3 games left. We got elimination football going on right now, and we got college basketball going on right now. Who's the happiest man in the world right now?
Man, it must be someone just like me that lives on the West Coast that can stay up to watch it all.
I would be if Arkansas was like in the playoff, but since they're not, I'm not the happiest man, but I'm happy because it's football and basketball, and we're gonna talk SEC and Big Ten. JJ,
Yeah.
let's start with the Big Ten. Big Ten got some big teams in some key locations.
Yeah, in the
Some
top
key
five.
rankings.
Yeah, they got
Yeah.
four. They got 80% of the top five in the AP poll, most recent AP poll.
Are they the best conference in football right now?
They're the most top heavy, that's for sure. I mean, I think you can pretty much dismiss the Big 12. I don't think that they have.
Don't tell Dion that.
I don't think they have an actual playoff, like a national championship contender. Among the
BYU.
ranks. Yeah, I don't think they have an actual national championship contender amongst the
Okay,
ranks.
okay.
The ACC, after watching Clemson, seeing what Clemson has to offer, seeing what
Miami.
happened with Miami against Georgia Tech. I mean, I think Miami is still legit, but I think they have one legit team between those two conferences. So it's really down to the Big Ten and the SEC. And the SEC is they're in like a topsy turvy type of time right now. The you can see the lack of depth. You can see like how NIL has spread teams apart and other teams have dipped into it, and you can see how that attrition has affected these teams. Bama isn't the Bama of old. You know,
Couple,
LSU.
couple of questions, JJ, and we can do some reviews and previews, but a couple of questions. Who's the best team in the SEC?
Highest ranked team in the SEC is Texas.
No. Who's the best team in the SEC? In your mind.
Oof, the best team in the SEC. Well, neither Texas nor Ole Miss can really run the ball at all. I mean, Ole Miss really misses Quinton Judkins, so I think Texas would be Ole. I think Texas would. I think Texas is the best team in the SEC.
Okay, you
I-
didn't mention Tennessee or Texas A&M.
I believe in the hype with I came into the year saying Tennessee was the best team in the conference, and I think that they have all of the pieces minus the position I thought that they were going to be solid at. The guy that they paid $8 million to get, the guy that wears number 8 on his chest, Nico. He's been a freshman. He's been up and down.
They've only lost 1 game this year.
Tennessee?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
and that game was to that great team in Fayetteville. What was that great team in Fayetteville called?
Yeah, Arkansas.
Yeah, and Tennessee still they got remaining. They got Georgia this coming week. Is it Georgia?
Yeah, they are Georgia.
Yeah, they got Georgia, and then they got UTEP, and then they got Vandy.
Yeah, I think the reason I picked Tennessee, looking back at the schedule, Alabama was the only team that they played that I don't know if they were favored by a touchdown at least. I know that they were favored by touchdown in every other game. And I remember their schedule was like, I was like, it's pretty much Alabama, Georgia. But hey, I'm happy to have been wrong about that. Arkansas came through.
But JJ, let's talk about some Big Ten schools. What you want to start about first? What game you want to talk about first from the Big Ten?
What game do we want to talk about first from the Big Ten? Well, why don't we talk about 10-win Indiana? They've never won 10 games in their illustrious 120 whatever year history. 9 was their previous peak, but now they have 10 and they don't have any losses in the column.
They have 2 games left: Ohio State and Purdue. Will they go undefeated?
They really could, but after the showing against Michigan really gave them a scare. They gave them a run for their money. If Michigan had even all MAC level quarterback, even like a normal backup Big Ten quarterback, they would. If they had Indiana's backup quarterback, I don't even know who that is. They would be
So
real
what
team.
area of Indiana's game did Michigan expose, or did they expose any area?
Yeah,
What
they
area?
they had 5 yards of offense in the second half. Indiana had 5 yards of total offense. Michigan's defensive line. I mean, Michigan, like Mason Graham should thank Indiana for. He's going in top 5 after that performance. Like it's not even a question. Yeah, no, like Michigan has a lot of injuries in the secondary and the cornerbacks, but it did not matter. Curtis Rourke did not have time at all to do anything. They could not run on Michigan. They could not throw on Michigan. Michigan's defense dominated. The defensive line of scrimmage dominated.
This is my question to you. Who's the better team? We know who won the game, but who's the better team? Indiana or Michigan?
Well, with the quarterback play as it is, with
the current teams.
Until Michigan gets a quarterback, I'm not going to answer Michigan for a lot of teams.
Okay. Such small number of yardage and still able to win the game. How could that be?
Hey, the name of the game is to have more points than the other team. It's not to have more yards.
Oh, you're right. I like that answer. Okay, JJ. What else you want to say about Indiana? You want to talk about this week's game or?
Yeah, I mean Indiana.
Or you want to wait and do that later?
Well, we can talk. We can preview. Well, they don't have a game this week. They have a bye. To get ready for Ohio State.
Okay.
But that is their next game.
It's Ohio State.
It is Ohio State. Ohio State has Northwestern, so they basically have a bye.
They're at Northwestern.
So it's a home game. It's Ohio State's second home game, basically.
You're right.
It's gonna be way more
Ohio State fans there.
It's gonna be way more.
I agree with you.
Especially with Ohio State or with Northwestern not playing at their home stadium this year, and they're playing off campus. Yeah, it's gonna be a sea of red.
JJ. An argument can be made and probably sustained that Ohio State is the best team in the country, even though they're not rated number one.
And you can also argue they're the third best team in their conference because they're currently
that's true
in third place in their conference.
That's true. Mm-hmm. That is true. Oh man, I can't wait till we talk about the Ohio State Indiana game, but we won't do that now because they're not playing this coming week.
No, they're not.
10 wins, never done before in school history.
No. Cignetti is he's taking Indiana to places. I mean, honestly, he said he's had so much success at Indiana. Indiana has to start worrying about where he's going to be coaching next year.
Who needs to coach next year?
Next year, that's a good question.
Oklahoma's going to be looking for a coach pretty soon.
Yeah, I had a feeling that they might.
Okay, Jay.
But where would Oklahoma rank in the SEC tiers?
As the teams that need a coach?
No, just in the future landscape going forward. But that's a topic for the offseason.
Yeah. What other Big Ten games you want to talk about? It's so much in the Big Ten to talk about. They got 4 of the best teams in the country.
Well, just like everybody expected, UCLA beat Iowa at the Rose Bowl.
Everybody expected that, huh?
Yeah. Deshaun Foster collected his 4th win. He's 4-5.
UCLA, JJ. Are they any good? Will they make a bowl?
Well, will they make a bowl? Well, they just have to beat Fresno State and one of either Washington and USC. USC is below them in the pecking order in the conference, and Washington is. I mean, Washington cannot.
So it looked like they will make a bowl. I would say they got 4 now. They need is 2 more.
They're at Washington. They'll be favored against Fresno. They have not beaten. I believe UCLA has not beaten Fresno in 25 years or something like that. It's been a long time.
I know that.
But Fresno is not good this year, so I do think that they'll be favored at home against Fresno. And USC isn't the USC that they're supposed to be. They benched Miller Moss. They went to the backup.
And Moss looked so good in the first game of the season against, was it LSU?
Yeah.
LSU. He looked really good against. What happened?
What happened was LSU made I guess LSU sold out to stop the run, and he carved them up in there. And ever since then, we'll talk about LSU later. Right. Anyway, but UCLA is really impressive. Deshaun Foster, he had that infamous press conference to start the year when he was introduced as UCLA's coach, but he also has one of the best defenses in the country and a better defense than his crosstown rival USC, who hired their defensive coordinator last year away from UCLA.
Interesting.
Interesting.
JJ, before we started this this video, you asked me, and I didn't have an answer, but now I'm going to ask you, who is the 5th best team in the Big Ten? We know the first 4.
They're in the top 5.
They're in the top 5.
Yeah.
So they are Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State, and who am I leaving off?
Penn State.
Penn State. So who's number 5 in the Big Ten?
That's a great question. At different points in times, it was supposed to be Nebraska. It was Then Illinois beat them. It was supposed to be Illinois.
Okay, Michigan.
I mean, it was supposed to be Michigan before the season started. It was supposed to be USC after they beat LSU.
Minnesota made a run for a moment.
Yeah, Minnesota made a run. I mean, they had a bad start. They lost to the North Carolina team that is just atrocious this year. But then they kind of bounced back, only to fall right back on their face against Rutgers last week. Yeah, I don't think there is a fifth best team.
I was gonna say Wisconsin, but they've lost two. They lost their last two games.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough out there.
Okay, so we'll just say the Big Ten has four. More about the Big Ten before we move to the SEC and get ready to wrap this up.
Okay.
And do you have more about the Big Ten?
No, that's pretty much it. I just want to talk about Minnesota. I think had assumed that position the week before, but with the loss of Rutgers, I was kind of wondering who did you have as the fifth best team?
You asked me that question earlier, and I don't have a fifth best team. I will tell you this though, that Iowa is fifth, tied for fifth with Minnesota, Illinois. I'm sorry, with Iowa and Minnesota tied for fifth place right now among conference wins. And which one is better? I don't know. I'm going to agree with you. There is no fifth best team in the Big Ten.
No.
But JJ, let's go to the SEC. SEC are they good? Because they got so many teams with one loss and two losses. Or is it that they're just mediocre and they're just playing each other as mediocre teams do? Is there an SEC team that you would say has a shot of being in the championship game this year?
Absolutely. I would say that there are two teams that have a shot at being in the championship game this year.
What two?
Well, obviously the team that's in sixth place in the conference, I think, has the opportunity to do that.
You're talking about Alabama?
I am talking about Alabama.
Okay.
And I'm talking about Texas.
Okay, and Texas is in tie for first right now. Well, actually, yeah.
Yeah, and Texas is, I think, Texas is a half a game behind. They haven't played as many conference games as Texas A&M or Tennessee. But I think Texas is the most complete team in the conference.
Do you?
I know that they don't have any running backs.
That's not going to say that.
I know they don't have any running backs, but I still think that they're the most complete team in the country. And I think, honestly, I think they might have to do a little Tebow thing with Arch Manning and put him in to run and to make defenses account for the running threat with their depth at running back. I think that he adds that dimension. But I think if you plan at full cylinder, if you're utilizing your backup quarterback, I think Texas is the most complete team in the SEC.
I look at Texas and I look for a key win from Texas. Mm-hmm. They beat Michigan early in the season. People thought that was a key win. Right now, Michigan is 5-5, so that win doesn't look that good. Mm-hmm. They did beat Oklahoma, but the win against Oklahoma doesn't look good either because Oklahoma has lost 5 games. Is their best win Vandy?
Yeah, Vandy's the only team that they've beaten from a power conference that is currently bowl eligible. So, yeah, I their best win is Vandy currently.
After 11 weeks of the season, your best win is Vandy. It just makes me wonder how great of a team you are.
Well, Tennessee's best win is Alabama, and they lost to Vandy. So, but seriously, if you look at Tennessee's schedule, look at the rest of that schedule too. I don't know. I think the SEC is just down this year, but I think the ACC is also down. I think the Big Ten, outside of the 4 teams, is down. I think a lot of college football teams is down. I think you're going to see a little bit more parity.
I think the Big Ten is a better team, but I think 2 of their 4 teams are not that great. Even though their records are great, I do think the Big Ten's the best conference.
Well, back in the day of yesteryear, of 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the best player in the country always played in the Big Ten and the SEC for the most part, right?
Okay.
The number 1 draft picks were coming out, or they're the Big Ten and SEC. The best player in the country this year does not play in the Big Ten and SEC. You can say it's Ash Genti from the
running back from
Boise, or you can say it's Travis Hunter in the Big 12. You can say a lot of different people. You can say it's Cam Ward from Miami, but you really can't say.
I agree.
It's anybody in the Big Ten and SEC, and I think that's because Jalen Milroe was not healthy throughout the year. I think that they didn't want to run him and make him sustain further injuries. But obviously they did that against. We'll get to that later. But I just feel like Jalen Murrow has that talent. He has the potential to win the Heisman. I feel like he has the potential to be the best player in the country. But other than him, I don't see anybody. Quinn Ewers isn't it. Jackson Dart isn't it. I don't know.
JJ, Texas A&M. I mean, I want to talk about Texas A&M. They're a team. They're 5-1 in the conference. They have 3 games left.
Mm-hmm.
They got New Mexico State, Auburn, and Texas.
Yeah, they got Texas.
Man, I just talked about Texas and their win records. I'm not sold on Texas. I think Texas A&M can make it to the SEC championship game.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this: who is Texas A&M's best one?
They beat LSU.
Okay. Who is Texas A&M's best one?
They beat LSU.
Oh, okay.
LSU is not a bad team. They got a good coach. They got a
LSU is basically Vandy to me at this point. I mean, you can run wild on LSU. I mean, did LSU lose to Vandy? Did Vandy play LSU? I can't even remember at this point.
Texas A&M beat Mizzou as well.
Okay.
Missouri is a 2-loss team.
That, you know what? That is technically true. Missouri is
a 2-loss.
Technically a 2-loss team.
Yes, they are.
They are a 2-loss team, and they beat Vandy, and that is obviously their best win. I think the SEC has a problem. Nobody's really that good in the conference.
Okay, let me ask you a question before I put it all on you and let you deal with whatever you need to deal with. Who are the 2 best teams in the SEC?
The 2 that I said have the potential to win a championship: Texas and Alabama.
Okay. What about Georgia, JJ?
Yeah, what about Georgia? Shout out to that backup safety that was celebrating in.
But that's because he has a teammate.
I know the context of it.
Okay.
I know the context of it, and
that was crazy.
And
though. That was crazy. I agree with you.
But for the people at home, there was a backup safety that, after sustaining a loss, celebrated in the crowd with a former teammate he hadn't seen in a while.
Georgia and Mississippi.
Yeah. So, Georgia has a problem. They can't run the ball.
What about
they have Trevor Etienne and they can't run.
And the quarterback can't keep throwing quarterback for throwing interceptions
to other team. Yeah, he throws way too many touchdowns to their team.
JJ, what about Mississippi? Ole Miss.
I've never been a believer in Ole Miss.
Okay, even after they dominated Georgia.
That was a surprise. I will say that was a surprise. But you know what? What happened to them against Kentucky was not that big of a surprise. What happened to them against LSU was not that big of a surprise. I think South Carolina would absolutely demolish Mississippi if they played, but they don't play.
Well, they did play.
Oh, they did. Oh! You know what?
27-3 or
yeah.
27-24-3.
It was at South Carolina, and I that was a different Lenore Sellers. He was not healthy.
Okay.
But I just really feel like they're firing on all cylinders with their defensive line. I really feel like the way to get to Mississippi is at the line of scrimmage. They cannot run the ball, but they can throw the ball. Jackson Dart threw for 500 and.
Yeah. I don't remind me about what he did against Arkansas. But JJ, it to me right now, it's, I don't know if you call it good or really bad, because so many teams in the SEC still have a chance to play in the championship game. That's the SEC championship game. And I'm gonna go back to who I said I picked them and then I threw them away. I'm gonna pick Mississippi and Alabama as the 2 best teams in the SEC right now. And Tennessee might prove me wrong. But Tennessee, this coming week, they got Georgia at Georgia. I think it's going to make Georgia cannot afford to lose that game right there. Even though Kirby Smart won't be under pressure, they still cannot afford to lose to Tennessee. And so if Tennessee beat Georgia, then I'm going to say Tennessee and maybe Mississippi, or maybe, I don't know who would be the best team. Do you think Tennessee will beat Georgia before I get out of here?
Well, first off, is Nico...
The coach has said he will be in the game. He will be 100%, according to the coach.
Okay.
According to the coach.
That's interesting. Well, I don't believe the coach when he says he'll be 100%. I think that's just something that the people say. I don't know. I mean, it's at Georgia. It's hard to win in Athens, especially coming off a loss. Like Georgia, normally does respond, but this isn't the normal Georgia team either. I think if with a healthy Nico, they could. But Nico hasn't been playing lights out. He has been missing receivers.
He has not.
And he hasn't been running the ball. as much as I think he should. I think that's the missing gear. I think later in the season, Tennessee will unlock that. They will run Nico, and I think that will unlock.
He's thin, JJ. To be running the
Yeah,
ball.
yeah, and he'll have to be slippery like the way Jaden Daniels is, and
I'm not sure he's ready for that.
yeah, he'll have to figure out how to evade. I mean, Lamar Jackson was thin, and he was able to stay relatively healthy. Jaden Daniels was thin, and he was able to stay relatively healthy.
They don't run like Nico does. To me,
They ran well.
I mean, no. When I say they don't run, Nico is not as fast as they are to me.
Yeah,
And I don't know. I haven't timed. He might be faster, but when I look at him in real life, and I mean in real time on TV, he doesn't look to be.
he definitely
the same.
isn't as decisive. I'll tell you that. I know that. I'm gonna pick Georgia in that game, but Tennessee absolutely could win.
Okay, JJ, what you want to say before we get out of here? I mean, we had a lot. There's so much to talk about. I mean, we could even talk about. There's a basketball game coming on in about 10 minutes from where we are right now here in Michigan. We could talk basketball. Let's talk basketball for a minute.
Michigan State's playing Kansas, number 1 team in the country. That should be an interesting little matchup. Kansas is obviously favored. Michigan State's not ranked. But Michigan State does return a lot of players. A couple of McDonald's All-Americans. The guy who got shot, Jeremy Langford, and Fears. Jeremy, was it Jeremy Fears or was that his brother?
Oh man, Jeremiah.
And
Jeremy. His
Jeremy.
brother is Jeremiah.
Yeah, he's Jeremy Fears.
Yeah.
And they got the power forward back.
Well, Kansas has Hunter.
Yeah.
Seems like he's been playing for forever.
Yeah, this is year number 6, I think. I don't know. I mean, that COVID year really must have helped. I don't know how this works. Maybe it's year 5. I don't know. Time is just a flat circle. It's a construct.
Okay.
We do have a little bit of basketball. And then after that, Kentucky plays Duke. But it comes on at like 9, so I won't be watching it.
Well, JJ, before we get out of here, I just want to say my Hogs are going to be hosting that team that you think is so good in the SEC in football this year. That you say, even though they don't have a running game, that they're well balanced. I predict an upset. The Razorbacks will defeat the Texas Longhorns, and Arkansas will become bowl eligible. WPS, Woo Pig Suey. What say you?
Hey, from your lips to God's ears.
Woo Pig Suey.